Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the all-new 2024 BMW X2 M35i. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this sporty SUV for me today. Take a look at their website, that link is down in the description. This X2 is finished off in a very beautiful Vegas red metallic. MSRP is just over $53,000, and this is powered by the 2-liter twin power turbo 4-cylinder engine paired to the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. It pumps out 312 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,800 pound SUV from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. It has a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 14.3 gallons. You'll expect to see around 23 miles per gallon in the city, 31 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 106 inches. Its overall length is 179.8. It has a width of 72.6, a height of 62.6, and its ground clearance measures in just over 8 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the all-new X2, I think this has a fantastic design to it, especially for this being an M car. Now this particular model also only has one package on it, so for that price, it is a little bit more on the basic side, but with this color and that front bumper, gives it a great look. So the kidney grille is finished off in brushed aluminum. You'll notice too that it does have the lighting package that surrounds the entire surround there. So at nighttime, you can see that light up, which is very cool. There's the forward sensor, which is nicely integrated right in the middle. And this does have active grille shutters. So behind those vents there, those will open up to provide additional cooling to the engine when needed. Now this does have LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. The new turn signal design has a cool little blip to it, which is a nice distinction. And then in the lower section, everything is gloss black. There's a lot more cutouts, even parking sensors. And then there's air inlets on the far edges of the bumper with more gloss black to provide more airflow. And then 2 lines come down the hood with the BMW badge right in the middle. Now, as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 20-inch wheels with a 2-tone design to them. I think it's a great wheel option. This also has the M Sport brakes that are finished off in blue. Now, the side mirrors are finished off in gloss black, as well as the rest of the window trim. There's also the turn signal integrated into them. No sunroof or moonroof for this particular model. There's the flush door handle design, very nice fender flares, both front and rear, as well as the lower side skirt there with a good bit of definition. Now for the X2, this has that coupe-like design. So you'll notice the steeply raked rear glass. If you want more of a traditional style for this SUV, you can go with the X1. So that has a little bit more height in the rear. This is a much lower vehicle than the X1. Now in back, this has a gloss black spoiler with the backup camera, very nice set of LED tail lights. All of the parking sensors are in the lower section, where this also has the gloss black lower diffuser, as well as that quad tip dual exhaust. Now this does have remote start, so you can use the key fob. We will start it up here in just a second. But you can also use the key fob or push on the top of the BMW badge, and that is how you can gain access to the cargo space. Now, like I just mentioned, with that steeply raked rear glass, you do lose a little bit of height, but in general, this still has a lot of interior space. Now there is room up underneath the floor where you can place some items as needed. There's also a storage bin. There is a net over behind all of my items there. And you can also fold down the back seats. All 3 are individual. That gives you a lot more interior space as you need to use it. And up top, you can close the vehicle. The one on the right side will lock it too. And as we work our way to the rear, this does not have any proximity sensors, so you would have to unlock it from the front door handle. But this is a beautiful interior. We have 2-tone for the door panel, Harman Kardon for the sound system, more storage in the lower section, and then a neat wraparound design for the grab handle, as well as the hollow design for that release handle. And the 2-tone works its way to these seats, where they also have all of the red stitching. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is a very low SUV, but at the same time, it's not all that crammed feeling in the back. I'm 5'10". I have plenty of room. There's storage nets, climate adjustments, auxiliaries, and a little bit of storage. And I'd say I have an inch or so above my head. I can actually sit upright and be comfortable. So for the size, it's still practical for backseat passengers. Now right in the middle, there's the armrest along with 2 cup holders, and you can also fold down the middle seat individually. So just pull on this tab and you can fold that down as needed. Now this is the rear visibility. That is a pretty big pillar, but you can easily see over both sides. I haven't really found that an issue. I've been in the X2 and the X1 a handful of times, and it doesn't really hinder any of your visibility. Now for the front door panel, there's the memory seating controls, all the side mirror adjustments, window controls, even the trunk release down below, and that same two-tone design. Even a really cool intricate pattern for that trim accent there. And then there's the two-tone front seats, which are automatic. However, there is one manual adjustment for that leg support, so you can pop that out as needed. And again, being a low SUV, it's almost like you're hopping into a sedan. But for the steering wheel, solid M Sport steering wheel with all the stitching. There's also the red stripe front and center. Now on the left side, all the cruise control settings. Right side, there's volume, music, Bluetooth, and voice commands. Massive paddle shifters too, and then a really cool spoke design for the lower section. But let's fire this up and take a listen to how the M35i sounds. And then coming back to the digital gauge cluster, on the left side, there's miles per hour. Right side, there's the tach and what gear you're in. And then to further go through this information, we'll use a combo of this button and the rotary dial in the middle. So if I push on that button, we have some content that we can go through. So you can pull all of this information up just depending on what you need to see for the day, including the map, so you have that in full screen, and then your music. If I go over to layout, you can adjust the layout with 3 different settings, just depending on how you want to view that information, and you can still go through it. So you can see on this one, it kind of maximizes your information with your miles per hour on the left side. No head-up display for this model. However, that is an option where you would have some more configurations to go through. Now on the left side, there's headlight adjustments. This also has the interior ambient lighting. So you'll notice that lighting throughout this. Brushed aluminum for that one air vent. And then as we look at the infotainment system, in the lower section, home is where we have the split style. So you can go through all this information as needed, still have the nav on that right side. And then you can also get into your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of your climate adjustments. You have your interior lighting. You can go through a lot with all of these apps. Now, the one thing with this system is there's no buttons down below. So like in a lot of BMWs where you have the rotary dial and the shortcuts, this is strictly just a touchscreen system. Now with the climates on, you can also get into your climate temperatures. So you have that on both sides. And then there's some shortcuts on this left side for your navigation, as well as phone and media. So super easy system to go through. There's another trim accent that makes its way to the passenger side, where there's 2 air vents, one shared air vent right in the middle. There's wireless charging down below, 2 cup holders and some auxiliaries, and then plenty of space in the entire lower section there. Now, if we put this into reverse, we'll just push that forwards. There's the backup camera. You can opt to get the 360 view as well, but for this model, we just have the backup camera along with the sensors. There's also drive, and then when you pull on it one more time, sport mode allows you to use these paddle shifters. If you just push on the e-brake, that is how you put this into park. There's also a shortcut to the camera system, and then a few different modes. So by pushing on that, you can actually change the gauge cluster color, as well as some of the throttle response depending on the mode that you are in for the day. Behind that, there's a shortcut into your driver assistance as well as your drivetrain and chassis. This is where you can also activate iconic sounds, which is some piped in exhaust notes for this model. Auto hold is behind that. There's tuning, power and volume for the radio. And then this is how you open up the center armrest, where you can place some smaller thin items if you need to. And of course you have all of the space in that glove box there too. And then up top, there are the dome lights as well as a call button. And this is the visibility from the driver's seat. It's a big pillar, but it is still easy to see over both shoulders. As we set up now behind the wheel for the X2 M35i, I've been able to drive the X1 M35i, so I'm assuming this is going to be very similar. However, this is a lower car in general. It has a lower roofline. It's a little bit wider than the X1. So from BMW's perspective, this is the more sportier version compared to the X1, especially since it has that coupe-like design in the rear and it's just a lower center of gravity. So let's put it down to second gear here. We have the 7-speed dual clutch as well as some of the gurgles in that exhaust. But this is a very quick transmission. it's also a car that not only does it handle well, but it's got a good pep to it for this 4-cylinder engine. Now, for the price tag, roughly $50-some thousand, the X1 that I was in was closer to the $60,000 mark. So just depending on the options you go with, this is more on the basic entry level, I'll call it, for this model. It's a lot of money for the size vehicle that you're getting, but not everyone wants a large SUV, and especially if you want some performance, you can get that with this vehicle. It'll put a smile on your face. It's not crazy loud either, but it's a lot of fun to drive. I really enjoy driving the X1, and honestly, this is about the same. If you truly did these on a track or something back to back, you would notice some differences, but for daily driving, they feel about the same. The only main difference is the rear glass, which I can still see out of. I can see the spoiler in the back there, which is pretty cool. So you can place the back of this vehicle very well. But it's nice to drive. It's very comfortable and quiet. It's smooth, well refined for this BMW. And this would make for a great daily driver. It would make for a great city daily as well, just with its overall size. Yet it's still practical. And in sport mode, second gear, here we go. There's actually some drama to those shifts. You can feel it a little bit, and they're lightning quick as well. This is a fun, smaller size sporty SUV for sure. So if you're in the market for that, you are going to get that with this BMW X2. You'll also notice too that we have a similar mirror design as a lot of the, what I'll call the true M cars from BMW. When I reviewed the first X1 M35i, a lot of people said it wasn't a true M car, and I kind of disagree with that. This is the M version of the X2. So to me, this is the M35i for the X2. It is an M car. It's not an M car like an M3 or an M5, M8, something like that, or even an M60i, which is the X5. But I do think that this is an M car with the performance that it has, the handling, the lower center of gravity. This is something that you can take on some back roads and get those sporty characteristics out of an SUV. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds as far as practicality. Even though it's on the smaller side, you do get more practicality than an SUV or than a sedan. So if you need backseat space and all that, and then you can still put a smile on your face with an acceleration like that and get up to speed. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the X2. Not a whole lot of tech, which I think is nice. A lot of people do prefer kind of more of the simplistic layout and style that BMW has. We have a nice screen for this, and it's not an overkill of technology. You have controls here. Everything's laid out very, very nicely. So, I mean, this is a driver's car. This is something that you can put a lot of miles on. Super comfortable, very practical, again, for the size if you don't have a lot of items. And the turning radius is very tight. So, like I've mentioned earlier, driving in the city would be great. And we're back up to speed. This is a great option. For the price, it's, I don't know, it's kind of expensive for the size, but for a luxury brand like this and the styling and just kind of the aim BMW is going at with this size and what it has to offer, I think it's a great option to go with. That is going to wrap it up for the all-new 2024 BMW X2 M35i. Once again, a huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.